Okay, hello YouTubers. I did promise a video about book reviewing, no, a book review of Isabella the Warrior Queen. I'm going to do that eventually. But first, I actually want to do something that I thought of the other day. It just kind of came into my head actually while I was asleep. Why do I always think my best ideas when I'm actually not conscious? They come to me in dreams. I'm not trying to boast. I literally can't think of anything during the day, and then I just get dream ideas. Anyway, as the title suggests, what if Romeo and Juliet had just been friends? Now, this is not an extension to my review of my favourite play ever, Romeo and Juliet. Oh, God. You know, Shakespeare's name wasn't on that. I don't even think we'd remember it. It's possibly the worst story ever written. Anyway, yeah, but, this is just a hypothetical scenario of what if Romeo and Juliet had just been friends, or why romanticism sucks in literature. Um, well, I mean, okay, so Romeo, as I think I mentioned it quite a lot in my Romeo and Juliet review, that one of my biggest problems with the play is that Romeo and Juliet are not in love. Yes, they are not in love with each other. They meet at a ball and they instantly get sexually obsessed with each other. This is clearly not said in the play. It's translated into love, but it's like not like Romeo was infatuated with a completely different woman one scene ago. He just yeah, like he I don't think either of them can control their emotions, and like Juliet clearly just doesn't want to marry Paris, so she's obviously going to use Romeo as a way to get out of that. I'm not suggesting she's manipulating Romeo. It's kind of a subconscious thing, obviously, but like neither of them are in love with each other, but they probably don't realise it, and the whole play is stupid. But anyway, so yeah, but so what would be? I think it would be much more interesting if the play had been about a platonic love about the two. You could still do the two families bitterly feuding with each other, but then you'd say, no, hold on, why would they commit suicide if they were just friends? Well, but they could be best friends, and maybe their friendship could develop over the period of the play. We could actually see them discovering mutually that the Montagues and Capulets have more in common than they actually believe. Um, this would probably this might actually be interesting. Instead, we have a play of, oh no, I love you, Romeo, I love you, Juliet. Why? I don't know. I guess we develop feelings for each other off stage, and like we're just seeing highlights. Yeah. This leads to a bigger. I'm using this kind of as a springboard to talk about something else. Why is love such a theme in fiction? It's toxic sometimes. Another example is The Great Gatsby. Gatsby is clearly enterprising and intelligent, and he could have probably done quite a lot for the world within the story, except he chooses to waste his time trying to impress a woman who is completely indifferent to him. Well done. I mean, so yeah. I mean, that's I'm not criticising F. Scott Fitzgerald. That's the point of the book. So yeah, it's just tragic. Gatsby wastes his life trying to get with Daisy, and Daisy goes off with Tom Buchanan, a fine specimen of um, a human being, which is talk of white supremacism and yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Um. I mean, it's just why do authors feel that male and female characters have to constantly be trying to pursue each other? It's a little annoying, to be honest. Um, one of my favorite books is a historical novel called Queen Margot by Alexandre Dumas. In that novel, the two central characters, the title character Margot de Valois, brother of King Charles X of France, and the Catholic monarch during the French Wars of Religion. She marries King Henry de Navarre, who eventually became Henry IV of France, the founder of the House of Bourbon, the last royal house of France. But their wedding was used as a pretext for the vicious and violent St. Bartholomew's massacre, which is shown in the book, where Henry's supporters, the Protestants, were slaughtered by the Catholic authorities. The book blames most of it on Catherine de Medici, Margot's mother. Look, I think I might do a book review of this sometime, but that's a separate entity. The reason it's one of my favourite books is Margot and Henry get married, but it's made very clear from the beginning that they do not love each other. It's a marriage of political convenience. That, that and neither of them are that thrilled. Actually, Henry quite blatantly is unfaithful to Margot, and he has several mistresses. He doesn't really make an attempt to hide this. And I think it's implied that Margot is actually unfaithful to him as well. So yeah, they don't really love each other, but this is the interesting part. They become allies, if not friends, and they actually protect each other from the conspiracies that are around them. Although they are not at all romantically or sexually interested in each other. They spend the book conspiring with each other to actually save each other's lives. Margot actually hides Henry in her closet during the St. Bartholomew's massacre. Which actually literally saves his life. I think it's Margot who also encourages him to convert to Catholicism, which also saves his life, while he's held as a hostage at her brother's court, before he can flee back to Navarre by the end of the novel. So yeah, that is brilliant. That's a really interesting relationship. The two are not romantically or sexually attached to each other. They do not They do not redevelop the romantic or sexual feelings for each other as the story goes on. They stay in that complicated relationship of somewhere between friendship and political allies. I think Henry refers to Margot as his friend at one stage, so I think it's fair to say that they are friends. Or at least they respect each other, so it's interesting. Why can't more books do that? Why do we need fairy tales where princes come and marry princesses or random women they find in the woods whose corpses they kiss in glass coffins? You know, that's not creepy at all, Disney. Romanticism should just probably be pushed to a side. It would be interesting if platonic relationships are okay in stories when it seems that the general rule is when it's dealing with families, but outside of that, you can't have a man and woman interacting in a way that would just imply that they were friends. I mean, there are exceptions, but it's by and large, a male character, female character. Guess what? They're probably going to end up with each other, or if not, well, one of them is going to try and pursue the other one romantically, because that's, totally realistic. Yeah. I mean, yes, I know this is a big relationships are meant to be part of our lives and so on and so forth, to the point where you have to think about them deliriously. But why it would be just more interesting if there were more relationships in fiction like that of Henry and Margot. Again, they don't like each other romantically, and they definitely don't like each other sexually, but they end up as political allies trying to save each other constantly throughout the novel, because that's a really interesting relationship, because they both realise that their survival depends on each other, and they both kind of, I would say, develop a mutual respect for each other by the end of the novel. I think that's pretty accurate to what actually happened historically as well. They didn't like each other romantically or sexually, but they were friends, and they ended up ruling France together. So eventually, after Henry defeated Henry III of France, and took the crown and and then became King of Navarre and and the last Val and the first Bourbon King of France. Um, why can't more stories be like that? Why do we need male and female characters to constantly pursue each other romantically or sexually? It's just, I mean, or at least you could just be original and say a character pursues someone else, they get rejected, and then they just go on coexisting as friends or even acquaintances or just anything. Just do something original with it. Why do we need constant romances in the middle of stories? It just seems like a distraction sometimes, actually, to be honest. I think it would be more, maybe I've just been heartless and cold, I don't know, but I think it would be interesting if they were imagine Romeo and Juliet if they were actually just best friends, and they discovered through mutual activities together, spending time with each other, that actually the Capulets and Montagues actually had more in common with each other than they thought, and that the family feud was meaningless, and they actually tried to put an end to the family feud. No, instead we get the scene where no, they die, and I don't even think the ending's that realistic, to be honest. Maybe I'm just too cynical, but I just don't think in reality, if that scenario played out, that the Capulets and Montagues would immediately stop their fighting when they saw their children dead. Maybe I am being too cynical, but I suspect that what would actually happen is that someone would find a way to blame it on the other family. Like, I don't know, maybe they'd fight over who died first, and that would cause a new feud or something. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm a cynic. Yeah. But what do you think? Let me know. Do you think I am being just a horrible, cynical prick? It's possible I am a horrible, cynical prick. But, is Romeo, our romance, our, is romance necessary all the time? I mean, can male and female characters not interact and simply have platonic feelings or even less than platonic feelings for each other, just be acquaintances? As I said, there are probably examples of this, but few and far between. If you pick up a book from the 19th century, you can be sure of one thing: there's going to be a forced romance plot in it, even if it doesn't really make sense or isn't interesting. I mean, Sherlock Holmes is kind of an exception to this, because I'm pretty sure he's asexual, or maybe his social anxiety just stops him from advancing. Yes, there's the implied feelings he has for Irene Adler, but they're only implied, and but even then, Sherlock doesn't have any female best friends or friends. I mean, that's partly because he's basically a recluse apart from Watson, but and Lestrade and a few others, but so it's not a complete example. I just seems like it seems. I mean, I think it has a serious societal problem as well. I mean, we're raised with the expectations that you should constantly pursue someone, and then you're never, and then you're set up for inevitable disappointment if, shocker, they reject you, and which, or that if you see someone at a party for the first time, it's just it's totally plausible that you would instantly fall in love with them, and then, but I mean, realistically, chances are you might actually never see them again, but that you might not even get a chance to talk to them at the same party that you're at. So but yeah, let's keep realism away because that would be scary. Let's have romantic ideas that will totally crush people. So we all end up like Werther from The Sorrow of Young Werther. Oh god, that's the most depressing novel ever. But in Goethe's defense, the authors, he at least realized his romantic novel that kickstarted the romantic movement was eventually toxic, and after it caused mass suicides throughout Germany. Um, so yeah, he he realized it was having a devastatingly negative effect on people's mental health and psychological well-being because they were reading this incredibly depressing novel. I mean, yeah, I know. I'm not. Yes, I realize unrequited love is depressing. I'm not suggesting it isn't. I've had experiences myself. I'm talking from first-hand experiences, but there you go. Why do we even need to cut? We're setting people up to fail with these books. Books like Pride and Prejudice. Very few people are Mr. Darcy, and very few men are Mr. Darcy, and very few women are Elizabeth Bennet. Um, I'm not sure why I'm saying Elizabeth Bennet because I don't think I'd be interested in Elizabeth Bennet if she was real, or Mr. Darcy for that matter. Yeah, but, nah. Anyway, um, I mean, yes, you could say that, yeah, it's fiction, calm down, but fiction has an impact on reality and vice versa. So, if we want to have a more realistic expectations, then maybe we should stop trying these stupid, contrived romantic plots that are not very realistic to what actually happens in real life a lot of the time. It's not, oh, I love this person, I'll pursue them, and I bet after some ridiculously convoluted drama they'll say yes to me. What about, oh, that person looks nice, but maybe we can just talk. If something happens between us, that's great, but maybe we'll develop instead. No, we have Romeo and Juliet, where Romeo and Juliet just fall in love as soon as they find each other, and at a party where there's presumably lots of people. Um, I'm surprised they even got a chance to actually talk to each other, but there you go. Um, Sorry, did I mention I hate Romeo and Juliet or something? I think I might have alluded to that somewhere. Yeah. Again, if Shakespeare's name wasn't on it, we wouldn't be talking about it. It's a really bad play, and I actually think it's pretty disturbing in a lot of ways. It's not the only disturbing thing. I think romanticism. I'm not suggesting that you can't have love scenes in books. You can, but I think they should be like realistic. Maybe actually show why characters like each other instead of trying to come up with convoluted ways for characters to pursue each other, or maybe have them develop feelings for each other after they stay as friends for a sustained period of the book. Maybe just do things like that, or just, as I said earlier, go back to the Margot and Henry relationship. They never develop romantic feelings for each other or sexual feelings for each other, but they save each other's lives and they become close political allies. That's fascinating. It's one of the most enjoyable parts of the book. They're involved with this intrigue with each other. They know their fates are bound to each other, but they have absolutely no romantic or sexual interest in each other. I highly recommend reading Queen Margot and watching the film that was based on it as well, the Reine Margot. Really good film, really good book. I think I'm going to stop the review there, but just let me know, what if Romeo and Juliet had stayed friends? What do you think about the idea of characters just remaining friends, and male and female characters just remaining friends in fiction? I should mention as well, there's an LGBT element to this. I mean, of course, all of this is aimed at like male and men and women pursuing each other, but I mean, it goes across sexuality, I think. I mean, do we just maybe just cut romanticism down a bit? Maybe just have stories that have more depth to them by having characters interact with each other. Can people only be friends with people with the same sexes? I think very few people would say yes to that in real life. They know that's obscene, but in fiction it seems to be kind of acceptable. God forbid we might have a novel where a man and a woman actually have an interesting platonic relationship and actually talk about things, or the plot develops around them. That would be interesting. No, I mean, even in stories that aren't explicitly about romance, like Harry Potter, there's the stupid forced story about Harry and Ginny, which is, yeah, we saw where that was going straight away. That was ridiculous. I mean, I thought when Luna was introduced in the fifth book that she would have been Harry's love interest. That would have been bad in itself. I'm kind of glad they stayed friends though, so that's actually, in a way, Harry Potter actually does it right. I think, yeah, I think I'm probably being unfair on Harry Potter. Actually, it does. Harry actually has friends who are women, and he doesn't show romantic or sexual interests in them, and that's actually well done, J.K. Rowling. Well done. You and Alexander Dumas might have got onto something. I don't know, maybe you should go back in time and romantically pursue each other and then get married. In a convoluted way. In a chateau in France. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. I think a better fantasy example would be Lord of the Rings. Aragorn and Eowyn. Worst romance ever. I mean, the movies at least gave them screen time together, so it's a little plausible that they might have feelings for each other, but it's literally just a, I love you. I love you too, let's get married in the book. Okay. So, yeah, that was flat. Um, um, let me know what you think, though. I mean, maybe I'm just being too cynical, but I think more writers could take this step. It would be courageous, it would be interesting, it would actually add some depth to the story that these romances and even books that aren't necessarily romantic but have romantic elements in them lack. I mean, imagine if Anakin Skywalker and Padme had been simply friends in the prequels. Well, okay, that would have been impossible because they needed to shoehorn in stuff to make the prequels match with the original Star Wars films, but it probably would have made a more compelling and believable relationship on screen, though. I mean, as I said, I'm not opposed to the idea that a male and female character end up together at the end of a story. Fine, but at least make it develop and natural. Maybe they're friends for like 98% of the story, and they don't even consider being with each other at the end. Or alternatively, they don't consider being with each other. So one of those. Just do something different. Don't do the whole, oh God, I just saw her for the first time, and then no, now I can't think about anything else. I had a normal life up until now. Cough, Marius and Les Miserables. But now I can only sing songs about her because I met her on the street and I don't know her name. I guess it's Ursula. Sorry, that's kind of pretentious reference there. Sorry. Yeah. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm just being too cynical, perhaps, but I would like to see more ingenuity in this around this kind of fiction, to be honest. And that's about it. I will do a review of Isabella the Warrior Queen. I need to finish the book. I got a bit sidetracked in my reading. I also want to do a book review of Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu's Uncle Silas. And I might do his shorts, and I might do his novella Carmilla as well, actually. Yeah, a couple of Irish things coming up to review, so yeah, stay tuned. Goodbye.